killed for being Hindu in Kashmir. Was that the writing on the wall? Did we as a nation fail to read that writing on the wall? The fact that terror rallies were happening in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The fact that the entire nation, the world saw that rant by Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir. Did the visit of US Vice President J.D. Vance to India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia give Pakistan's military jihad complex an opportunity to strike? And 6 years after the abrogation of Article 370, do we remain as vulnerable and as reactive? Does Pakistan's ISI decide when, where, how to strike? And India will only respond by pruning, killing terrorists, celebrating victory, pruning the branches of the terror tree without striking at roots in Pakistan. Joining me on this India Today special broadcast, three of the finest voices on national security and international relations. Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, former Kashmir Corps commander. Professor Brahma Chilani, one of India's best-known strategic affairs experts and advisor to India's National Security Council earlier. Dr. Tara Kartha, former director of the National Security Council Secretariat. General Hasnain, what do you make of these eyewitness accounts that have come in? Tourists singled out and killed for being Hindu, sir.
Hey, Gaurav, firstly, let me start by expressing my very deep regrets. And I'm sorry that one has had to do this repeatedly over so many years on your program. But having said that, let me say, obviously, the context, we must get the context right. The entire event was for a particular purpose, targeting for a particular purpose. Let's count out those things. Number one, returning normalcy in the Srinagar, Kashmir area, which includes this area of the Amarnath Yatra, launch pad, base camp, etc. Most of the terrorist incidents having happened in the Poonch Rajouri, in the Kathua area at the moment, an attempt to try and shift the terror base once again back into the valley, where 8 lakh visitors had just visited the Tulip Garden, and to make sure that tourism dies a natural death in Jammu and Kashmir, number one. Number two, we had the US Vice President coming in, and I'm reminded of 19th of March 2000, when Chetty Singh Pura took place. I was the Colonel GS of the Victor Force at Avantipur at that time, and I was there the next morning to see this entire terrible event which had happened. It was timed with a VIP visit from the United States, just like it seems that this particular event has also been timed along with that. Simultaneously, looking at the overall situation in the country along the borders, West Bengal, other areas, attempting to try and bring about a communal flavor, communal color to this entire thing by targeting menfolk, number one. The second thing was targeting based upon religion. That is the most dastardly thing which could have happened. And of course, everyone is seething at that. But at the same time, I must say that in Kashmir, I recently visited Kashmir and I spoke to a lot of people on ground, and I myself sensed a returning sense of normalcy. Obviously, for Pakistan, a statement such as the one which I'm making is anathema. Absolutely. They would never want to see this kind of a situation as far as India is concerned. Losing relevance, Pakistan losing relevance in the valley as such. And therefore, there was an attempt to try and regain that relevance, which has been going on since 2023 in the Jammu sector and now back in the Kashmir sector. Lastly, I'll link up the Asim Munir speech, and I'll link up the BLA incident. And I know for sure that in Pakistan, the Pakistan army seems to be seething absolutely at its terrible loss of face, which happened in Balochistan, and blames India for it. And we know very well that India had nothing to do with it.
No, but all of this would indicate, Professor Chilani, Pakistan holds all the cards. Pakistan can do what it wants to do, when it wants to do, where it wants to do. We'll only react. It could do it in Chitti Singhpura in 2000 when Bill Clinton was visiting India. It can do it in 2025 when J.D. Vance is visiting India and when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Because, as General Atta Hasnain very rightly points out, this is Pakistan's death that Kashmir is becoming normal. Pakistan, the reason why their army exists is now disappearing day by day, hour by hour. They've gained relevance. And we've given them that relevance because there's nothing we can do to prevent Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror in our country, it seems, Professor Chilani.
Gaurav, you raised the fundamental question. Why is it that India only reacts but never provokes? In fact, India prefers to play victim instead of proactively countering enemy designs or upping the ante against the foe. India's main weakness, as we all know, is a reactive and risk averse strategic culture, coupled with the absence of strategic thinking at the highest level. We've had successive prime ministers in this country, one after another, who, after taking office, have sought to make peace with Pakistan, only to fall flat on their face. Haven't we seen repeatedly now? You know, it began with
Yes,
Vajpayee taking the bus to Lahore and
Lahore.
then crying publicly that the bus got hijacked to Kargil. Then we had Manmohan Singh doing that, and then inviting the horrific
But I
attacks
thought post
in
Pulwama
Mumbai.
and Balakot, post Balakot, the situation had changed. What happened? That was 2019. Now we're in 2025. Before I bring in Dr. Tara Kartha, Professor Chilani, post 2025, how are we back in that same position?
See, to impose sustained costs on Pakistan as opposed to conducting a one off operation like the Balakot airstrike, India needs to shed its reactive and risk averse mindset. That's the most important thing. If a country just plays victim, it'll be condemned to remain a victim. Just think of this. Pakistan continues to gore India, although it's 7 times smaller demographically, 11 or 12 times smaller in economic terms,
Yes.
and its military spending is multiple times smaller than India's. It makes up for the power asymmetry with India through stronger political will. Imagine if Pakistan's economic and military power had been close to India's. It would have inflicted much greater harm on India.
Probably,
You
God
know,
forbid, we would have been hearing Ralif Galif as Salif in Delhi and not just in Srinagar. I mean, God forbid, the manner in which Pakistan is able to provoke and target India, fortunately, not outside J&K, but unfortunately, in the manner in which it is done inside J&K, Professor Tara Kartha, it is, Dr. Tara Kartha, it's very alarming. You heard that lady, you heard that eyewitness account. Tourists were asked to recite the Kalma. Those who couldn't were killed. Is this history repeating itself in Kashmir? And this would, that saying, if you don't learn from history, you're condemned to repeat it. Is that happening with us, ma'am?
I think that is, I just want to, however, refute something which I'm sorry, I disagree with the professor. A country which loses almost 3 soldiers every day is not my idea of an ideal state. It is not at all a strong state, and I defy any country in the world anywhere to resist terrorism entirely. It can't be done. Let's be very clear on that. Number two, what you said is absolutely right. From 2001 onwards, this is the first attack you're seeing where civilians have been targeted so badly. We need to know why. There is a
Yes.
reason. And also, number two, it is a signal to you that they are taking us on. Number three, this man told you. He says, Balochistan, you think you can take Balochistan from me? You can't. Do you think I will definitely hit you in Kashmir? I will. Hindu, Muslim, he's told you everything. And then you're surprised that there's an attack. So it is something which you expect from these people because they've been hit so badly in Balochistan that by their own counter-terrorism tactics, not by anything else, because they
Yes.
did such a bad job. So now he has to do something, chest beating, which you saw what he did the other day, and today you have a terrorist attack in Kashmir. But the
I want
danger.
our viewers, I want our viewers for a moment to look at these images that are coming in from Srinagar, and I want all our guests to weigh in on these images. कातिलों को सजा दो कातिल those Pakistani terrorists. The other image, of course, you see is of the security forces movement and VVIP movement with the Home Minister in Jammu and Kashmir. But General Hasnain, you've served in Jammu and Kashmir over decades, from a captain to the co-commander. I want to understand from you, in the past when there were terrorist strikes by Pakistan or by those radical Islamist terrorists, would people come out on the streets in a candle march against terrorists in favor of the victims? Or is this a change in Kashmir now?
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for that question. This is very, very relevant that our viewers must understand this. I've just been to Kashmir only 2 weeks ago. And I can tell you, I spoke to a lot of people from Uri to Gandarbal and other areas. I was myself surprised at the level of change which is happening on an everyday basis. I went there last year, I went the year before. And every year when I go back there, I find a difference in the eyes of the people. If people go on a regular basis, you start understanding what the haunting look which used to be there in the earlier years, that haunting look is going away. There's a hope, there's an aspiration which is very, very well evident there. That's the hope and aspiration which is probably evident in the actions of all the people that you're seeing holding candles out here. This was something which was absolutely absent all over the valley at that time. There was nothing. Every time an incident happened, there was stone throwing or turbulence or attempts to burn up police vehicles, etc. But never this kind of a thing. And I'm glad it's happening. It's sending home a very important message.
The messages I've been getting from Kashmir, from lots of friends, I've been reporting on a situation in Jammu and Kashmir since the Kargil war and subsequently the hostility then, the support now. Professor Brahmachalani, has a lot been achieved, but the Narendra Modi government needs to do a lot more, because there may be elements, because these terrorists wouldn't have succeeded. They'd be fish out of water if there was no support, whatever support they may have, whether it's ED raids, income tax raids, sucking out money from that system. A lot more needs to be done. Where is the government not taking it to that final stretch to ensure Pakistan does not succeed in Kashmir, sir?
There are two major lessons that any nation must remember in fighting terror. First is never rest on your oars, as terrorists will innovate to craft new means for attack. And lesson number two is that the key to preventing attacks is imposing sustained costs on state sponsors of terrorism. And the timing of this attack, the fact that this has come when J.D. Vance is touring India and the US-India relationship is bouncing back from the Biden-era setbacks, is also, the timing is very important because as we know that there is a long-standing pattern of Pakistan's ISI agency using high-profile visits to India to stage attacks so as to draw international media attention and to create impact on India's confidence, on its narrative that normalcy is returning to J&K, and to expose gaps in India's security. But I think the most troubling aspect of it is that, we had this 26/11 many years ago.
Yes.
And then now we have an attack in terms of its scale, in terms of its magnitude, which is beginning to look as if this is another 26/11. Maybe on a smaller scale. But the way civilians were systematically targeted, the way they were slaughtered, the way the government, the local authorities were caught napping, all this raises fundamental questions about our security.
Absolutely. About our intelligence, Dr. Tarak Artha, like you said, the writing was on the wall. And before we move forward, I want our country, because I want this to be a part of India's DNA, to know what is Pakistan's DNA. Deceit, bigotry, hatred for India, and whatever we may think, whether it's an Asim Munir or some of the diplomats who may appear very suave, they're all 50 shades of Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. I don't know why some of us don't understand that, but let's listen in to General Asim Munir. So from Parvez Musharraf, or let's say Ziaul Haq, or go beyond Yahya Khan, Tikka Khan, A.K. Niazi, look at their generals all the way to the current chap, Asim Munir. Listen in to General Asim Munir. Listen him to his rants. He sounds more like a radical mullah at some pulpit, some Maulana, and not a four-star general. Listen into General Asim Munir. We'll get back to our guests and get more on that story.
पाकिस्तान की कहानी अपने बच्चों को जो है आपने जरूर सुनानी है ताकि वो पाकिस्तान की कहानी ना भूलें. Well, our forefathers, they thought that we are different from the Hindus in every possible aspect of life. Our religion is different, our customs are different, our traditions are different, our thoughts are different, our ambitions are different. That was the foundation of the two-nation theory that was laid there, that we are two nations, we are not one nation. So because of that, our forefathers, they struggled, mounted that incessant struggle to create this country. Our forefathers, they have sacrificed immensely, and we have sacrificed a lot for the creation of this country. And we know how to defend it. My dear brothers and sisters and sons and daughters, please don't forget the story of Pakistan. And don't forget to narrate the story of Pakistan to your next generation, so that their bond with Pakistan, it never weakens. Whether it is the third generation or the fourth generation or the fifth generation, they know that what Pakistan is for them. आज तक इंसानियत की तारीख में सिर्फ दो रियासतें हैं जो कलमे की बुनियाद पर बनी हैं. पहली जो थी उसका नाम है रियासत तैयबा, क्योंकि तैयबा जो है वो नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने उसको नाम दिया था. और जबकि कुरान में उसका नाम है यसरब, या अहले यसरबा ला मुकाम लकुम फरजिउ, ये कुरान में नाम है उसका, जो आज जिसको मदीना अल मुनव्वरा कहा जाता है. और दूसरी रियासत जो है वो उसके 1300 साल के बाद अल्लाह ताला ने ये आपकी बनाई है, कलमे की बुनियाद के ऊपर.
This was known. Our intelligence agencies, General Hasnain, should have known. Chitti Singhpura gave them that example that when there's a high-profile VVIP visit, Pakistani terrorists will strike. Yet we did not protect Pahalgam. Or is it impossible? Since you commanded the corps, you know the situation better. Is it impossible to protect every area? Did our agencies fail to assess, SMAC, all these agencies that we have, multi-agency center to assess, to give inputs, to give information, to carry out, everything failed once again, sir?
See, Gaurav, intelligence is a very, very difficult game. After all, the United States, with the most advanced intelligence systems in the world, failed to detect 9/11. Israel, with the most advanced intelligence systems in the world, technically the most advanced too, failed to detect what happened on October the 7th. I'm not justifying it. But what I'm telling you is that people should understand that the game of intelligence is extremely difficult. It's very easy for us to say an intelligence failure immediately after an event. Yes, intelligence failures have taken place there. But also there have been many, many occasions when intelligence successes have prevented things like this happening. No, I'm not batting for the intelligence agencies. What I'm essentially trying to also explain is a simple rationale that when the strength of terrorists was 3,000, 3,500, I used to get loads and loads of information every day. I had to, discern what is correct and what is wrong and try and synthesize the whole thing. When the strength of terrorists comes down to 70 foreign terrorists and maybe a few more, both across the Pir Panjal, it becomes very, very difficult to get the footprint correct. Where is the presence of the terrorists? Where are they likely to be striking? For example, in this case, if 3 to 4 terrorists are there, lots of people are surmising that they have come from across the border. I would say they were resident terrorists. They are foreign terrorists and resident terrorists here. All they have done is they've come from the Pir Panjal area across into the Kishtwar area. It takes you 10 to 15 days to do that. And they've come into an area where actions have taken place in the past, strategically chosen Amarnath Yatra base, and also possibly information that this is an undefended area, not dominated by the army, CRPF, or any of the other forces. Till that time, normally what happens is that this area starts getting dominated in the month of June. Because the Yamarnath Yatra comes up in about the first week of July, the second week of July. So about a month is required. And I used to monitor the intelligence out here personally. I still remember getting information from the IB and all other intelligence agencies. They gave us information about possible movements here and there. And we took those proactive actions. But to protect every area, I agree, is difficult. But this area is definitely an area which needed focus and probably will continue to need focus.
General, stay with me because I want to continue this conversation on what should India's next step be, the tactical response and the strategic response, the short term, medium term and long term response. As I also welcome on the special broadcast Ifra Jan, spokesperson for the National Conference, who joins us on the show. Dr. Tara Kartha, stay with me as we listen in to Anupam Kher. He's a film actor. He is a Kashmiri Hindu, a Kashmiri Pandit from the Kashmir Valley. He saw this. He's responded. Listen in.
देश के प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी से और अमित शाह जी से और पूरी सरकार से दरख्वास्त हाथ जोड़कर दरख्वास्त करना चाहता हूं कि इस बार ऐसा सबक सिखाया जाए इन आतंकवादियों को कि अगले 7 जन्म तक ये ऐसी हरकत करने के लायक ना रहें। गलत है, गलत। दुनिया के किसी भी इलाके में इस तरह की हरकत गलत है, लेकिन हमारे देश में पहलगाम में जो आज हत्याकांड हुआ है बहुत गलत है।
Dr. Tara Kartha, we've discussed this in the past. God forbid, I hope we never have to discuss this in the future, another terror attack in our country. But, you know, how should India respond to this? Tactically, these terrorists who are here, even if you kill them, like you killed those 10 terrorists in Mumbai and hanged Kasab, that was like pruning the leaves of the terror tree. Roots are still in Pakistan. One Balakot in 2019 clearly is not enough. What is it that India should, can and must do?
You know, Gaurav, on one level, I'll tell you something. Pakistan, for the last several years, has been saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, and we ignored them because they didn't matter. This is Pakistan telling you, now look at me. What are you going to do? Right? So that is exactly your question. But however, the point is, as a professional, you cannot tie the PM's hands. I mean, this is an attack which is telling you you are at war. So do you want to go down that road or don't you want to go down that road is a decision which we cannot take. It's something very easily said. I would love to say, rationally speaking, Pakistan should not be doing this ever. How did the world allow this to happen? How did the world allow this country to continue again and again and again doing this for years? And they take it. They go and visit them. The diplomats go there. How is this happening?
Okay.